In the year 2432, humanity had spread its fingers far into the cosmos, touching distant stars and unfamiliar galaxies with both curiosity and caution. Earth had long become a hub, a center of commerce and diplomacy amongst the stars, but its explorers and diplomats always kept one foot in the unknown, pushing boundaries of space and society. One such boundary was the mysterious exalted territories, ruled by the reclusive and powerful alien species known as the Serene. The Serene were enigmatic, towering beings with shimmering, translucent skin and elongated limbs, communicating through a complex blend of telepathy and bioluminescent signals. Their queen, Sovereign Xylix, was a figure of both reverence and fear, a guardian of her people's ancient secrets and laws. Lieutenant Michael Harris, a linguist and cultural attaché in the United Earth Space Command, found himself stationed on the diplomatic ship USS Horizon, which hovered at the edge of the Serene's dominion. The mission was sensitive, to foster better relations with the Serene and gain access to their archives and technology. But Michael had a personal agenda that went beyond his official duties. He had become obsessed with one of the Serene's most intriguing and strictly guarded mysteries, the Forbidden Chamber. It was said to hold secrets that not even the highest-ranking officials of other species were allowed to glimpse. Rumors swirled about ancient artifacts, the origins of the Serene, and technology that could alter the course of civilizations. Michael's chance came when a rare diplomatic event was organized aboard the Sovereign vessel, the flagship of Queen Xylix herself. The event was to last 7 days, a mingling of various species representatives with the Serene elite. On the third night, leveraging his position and the goodwill he had built up with some of the lower-ranking Serene officers, Michael slipped away from the ongoing festivities. His heart pounded as he navigated the sleek, bioluminescent corridors of the ship. The walls themselves seemed alive, pulsing gently with light that matched the rhythm of his quickening heartbeat. Every step he took was a step into sacrilege, but his thirst for knowledge pushed him onward. The chamber was located in a secluded part of the ship, marked by a door unlike any other on the vessel. It was carved from a material that resembled a deep, starless night, absorbing all light around it. No guards stood at its entrance, for no Serene would dare approach it without the Queen's express permission. Michael stood before the door, his breath fogging slightly in the cool air. The silence was oppressive, the kind that screamed of forbidden secrets. He reached out, his fingers trembling as they brushed against the cold, dark surface of the door. There was no handle, no obvious means of opening it. Yet, as his hand made contact, the surface shifted, symbols glowing faintly beneath his touch. The door recognized him, not as Michael Harris, but as a being with a will to uncover what was hidden. Slowly, almost reluctantly, the door slid open, revealing a chamber bathed in soft, violet light. Inside, the secrets of the universe, or at least, some of them, waited. As Michael stepped over the threshold, he knew there was no turning back. What he was about to discover could change everything he knew about the Serene, about humanity, and about himself. The chamber seemed to stretch infinitely, its walls lined with artifacts and ancient texts that hummed with an energy he could feel in his bones. But it was what stood at the center of the chamber that drew his eyes and held them captive. A device, pulsating with a light that seemed to pulse in time with his own heart. As he approached, a voice filled the chamber, a voice that seemed to come from the very air around him. "Who dares enter the sacred sanctum of the Serene?" The voice boomed, both beautiful and terrifying. Michael swallowed, steadying himself. "I am Michael Harris, of Earth. I seek knowledge." The voice softened slightly. "And so you shall have it, Michael Harris. But be warned, knowledge can be both a gift and a curse." With those words, the secrets of the chamber began to unfold before him, each one a starburst of revelations that could elevate or destroy. Michael took a deep breath and stepped forward, into the light. As Michael delved deeper into the illuminated sanctuary, his senses were assaulted by the sheer volume of knowledge stored within. The artifacts were not merely objects but beacons of stories, each pulsating with data streams that interfaced seamlessly with his neural implants. One device, in particular, a sleek, handheld instrument with spiraling symbols, caught his attention. It seemed to beckon him, and as he touched it, his mind was flooded with visions. He saw the Serene's ancient world, not as it was now, but as it had been millennia ago. Vast cities of crystal and light sprawled across landscapes so vivid that Michael felt he could step into them. He witnessed the rise of the Serene, their technological advances and philosophical debates, their wars, and their peacemaking. The device mapped it all directly into his consciousness, a live feed of history that was almost too much to bear. But it was the origin of the forbidden chamber that held him spellbound. Created as a vault for the most potent and dangerous of their technologies, the chamber was designed to be accessed only by those who possessed both the intellectual capacity and the moral compass to handle its contents responsibly. As the visions subsided, Michael realized the enormity of what he was interfacing with. This wasn't just a repository of knowledge but a test of character. The chamber sensed his resolve and his rampant curiosity. Another section of the room illuminated, revealing rows of bioluminescent tubes filled with what appeared to be floating, embryonic forms. A display flickered on, explaining that these were the Serene's attempts to engineer life forms capable of surviving in environments previously thought uninhabitable. The ethical implications were staggering, and Michael felt a chill run down his spine as he considered the potential uses and misuses of such technology. As he moved on, the next revelation was about the Serene's communication technology. A large, curved console at the far end of the chamber came to life as he approached. It demonstrated how the Serene communicated across galaxies without the delay of light-speed transmissions. The technology manipulated the fabric of space-time itself, creating instantaneous links between points millions of light-years apart. The potential for such technology to change human exploration and communication was revolutionary. The chamber seemed to anticipate his thoughts, adapting its revelations to his responses, each artifact more enlightening than the last. His mind raced with the possibilities of sharing this knowledge with Earth, of ending wars with communication, of colonizing new worlds with the biotechnologies he had seen. But a growing unease settled in his gut. Was humanity ready for such power? His own journey here was proof of the lengths one would go to gain such knowledge. What might others do, driven by less noble pursuits? The final artifact was the most intimate, a small, seemingly mundane crystal that vibrated softly in his hand. When he touched it, he didn't see visions but felt emotions, deep, overwhelming emotions that he knew were not his own. They were the collective hopes, fears, and dreams of the Serene people. The crystal was a cultural archive, meant to foster understanding and empathy between species. It was a reminder that with great power came great responsibility. Michael stood in the center of the chamber, the weight of what he had learned bowing his shoulders. The voice spoke again, its tone now gentle, almost compassionate. "Michael Harris, you have seen what few outsiders ever will. What will you do with this knowledge?" He had no answer. The implications of his discoveries were too vast, too complex to be decided in a moment. But one thing was clear, he couldn't keep this to himself. He needed to share it, but in a way that would not overwhelm or endanger his own kind. With a deep, steadying breath, Michael prepared to leave the chamber, the crystal firmly in his grasp. As he approached the exit, the door glowed softly, sealing behind him as he stepped out, the secrets of the Serene now a part of him, a sacred trust as he navigated his return to the human world. Back aboard the USS Horizon, the weight of secrecy bore heavily on Michael as he contemplated the immense responsibility he now shouldered. He knew he needed to strategize. His first move was to secure the information, encoding the data streams into his neural implants with multiple layers of encryption. This safeguard ensured that even if his actions raised suspicions, the knowledge would not fall into the wrong hands without his consent. As days turned into weeks, the Horizon drifted through the cosmos, and Michael's dual life commenced. Officially, he resumed his duties as a cultural attaché, liaising between human diplomats and various alien delegates. Unofficially, he was a custodian of forbidden knowledge, analyzing and dissecting the information he had obtained, understanding its depth and scope piece by piece. During this period of reflection, an unexpected alliance formed. Dr. Ilara Miles, the ship's chief science officer, noticed subtle changes in Michael's demeanor. Known for her keen intuition and brilliance in xenobiology, Ilara approached him with a mix of concern and curiosity. One evening, under the guise of discussing routine ship maintenance, she confronted him directly. "Michael, I've known you long enough to see when something's up." "And something's definitely up," Ilara said, her eyes locked onto his with an intensity that made him waver. After a moment of hesitation, Michael decided to trust her. Partial disclosure, he reasoned, might actually help him navigate the ethical labyrinth he was now trapped in. He shared tidbits about the serene technologies, omitting how he came to learn of them, and watched Ilara's reaction closely. Her fascination was immediate and profound. "Do you realize what this means, Michael? Instantaneous communication across galaxies could revolutionize how we handle deep space missions, and the bioengineering data could be key to terraforming new worlds." But with her excitement came a stern warning. "We must tread carefully," she added. "Such knowledge, if misused, could lead to catastrophic outcomes. Think of the societal implications, the potential for misuse by those with less altruistic agendas." Their discussions became regular, a secret symposium in the quiet corners of the ship, as they debated the philosophical and practical ramifications of the serene secrets. Michael appreciated her scientific perspective, which grounded his more humanitarian concerns. Meanwhile, the diplomatic mission was approaching its climax. The Horizon was scheduled to rendezvous with a coalition of interstellar leaders, where discussions would shape the future interactions between human territories and the exalted territories of the Serene. Michael felt the pressure of his hidden knowledge, knowing it could influence the upcoming negotiations. It was during one of these strategy meetings with Earth Command that Michael realized how precarious his position was. Admiral Lucas, a high-ranking officer with a reputation for militaristic solutions, outlined a plan that inadvertently threatened the balance Michael hoped to achieve. "With or without the Serene's cooperation, we need to be prepared to extract their technologies for Earth's benefit," Lucas declared, unaware of the specifics but eager for advancement. The statement hit Michael like a physical blow. He understood now that the knowledge he possessed was not just a gift but a potential weapon in the wrong hands. He needed to act, and soon, to ensure that the forthcoming interstellar summit would not be the spark that ignited a conflict fueled by greed and misunderstanding. His resolve hardened. Michael began to draft a series of proposals for the summit, integrating the principles of the Serene's technologies with strict ethical guidelines. He planned to use his insights to bridge understanding between species, to advocate for cooperation rather than coercion. As the Horizon continued its journey through the stars, Michael worked tirelessly, knowing the future might well depend on the decisions made in the coming days. As the interstellar summit approached, tensions aboard the USS Horizon escalated. Michael's interactions with Admiral Lucas became increasingly fraught, the Admiral's strategy leaning heavily on leveraging military might to pry secrets from the Serene. Michael, armed with his clandestine knowledge, steered the conversations towards diplomacy and mutual benefit, often clashing with Lucas's more aggressive tactics. Michael also worked closely with Ilara to fine-tune his proposals, integrating scientific and ethical considerations into diplomatic strategies. Their late-night sessions often spilled into discussions on the broader implications of introducing such advanced technologies into human society. Ilara, with her expertise in xenobiology, provided insights into the potential biological risks and benefits, reinforcing the need for careful, controlled dissemination of knowledge. One evening, while reviewing the latest data encryption algorithms to secure their communications, Michael received an encrypted message from an unknown source. The message was cryptic, a single line: "The chamber's secrets must not fall into Imperial hands." This stark warning confirmed his fears that others might be aware of his foray into the Forbidden Chamber. He showed Ilara the message, and her face paled. "This isn't just about technology anymore, Michael. It's about power and control," she said, her voice tense. The summit was set on a neutral space station, orbiting a deserted planet at the edge of the Milky Way. The Horizon docked amid a fleet of starships from various civilizations, each delegate arriving with their own agendas and guarded by tight security. Michael's role as a linguist and cultural attaché gave him a unique vantage point, facilitating interactions with multiple alien species, including some from the Serene delegation. During the opening reception, Michael met with Serene Ambassador Thalrix, a tall figure with a calm demeanor and a deep, resonating voice that seemed to echo the collective wisdom of his people. Thalrix was aware of Michael's cultural sensitivity and seemed to probe for his stance on the negotiations. Michael, cautious but honest, expressed his hope for peaceful collaboration. Thalrix nodded slowly, his bioluminescent patterns flickering in a way that suggested complex, unspoken thoughts. The summit officially began the next day in the Great Hall of the space station. Representatives from different worlds took their seats around a massive circular table. The air was thick with anticipation and the subtle hum of translation devices converting dozens of languages into intelligible speech. Admiral Lucas led the human delegation, with Michael at his side as his advisor and translator. As the discussions unfolded, it became evident that the human delegation's aggressive stance was alienating other species, including the Serene. Michael seized a quiet moment to present his proposal, emphasizing the benefits of shared knowledge and collaborative exploration. He spoke of the Serene's advanced technologies not as assets to be seized but as opportunities for joint advancement in science and diplomacy. The room fell silent as he finished, the delegates processing the shift in tone. Then, slowly, other species began to voice their support, intrigued by the promise of cooperation rather than conflict. Even some of the human diplomats seemed swayed by Michael's words, seeing the potential for a new era of interstellar relations. However, Admiral Lucas was not pleased. During a recess, he confronted Michael, his anger barely contained. "You are here to assist me, not to undermine me," Lucas hissed, his face close enough that Michael could feel his breath. Michael held his ground, asserting that his approach could prevent an interstellar conflict and perhaps open doors that brute force could not. As the summit resumed, Michael found himself increasingly isolated from the human delegation but drew quiet support from Elara and several alien representatives who appreciated his vision. The discussions grew more intense, debates stretching into the night, each species wrestling with the implications of true intergalactic cooperation. The corridors of the space station hummed with whispered alliances and discreet conversations as the summit progressed. Michael, once a mere facilitator, had become a central figure, advocating for a balanced approach to the shared use of advanced technologies. His proposals, enriched by the insights he had gained from the Forbidden Chamber, suggested frameworks for technology sharing that included strict safeguards and ethical oversight. Admiral Lucas, however, continued to push for more direct access to alien technologies, particularly those of the Serene. His hardline stance created ripples of discontent among the delegates, threatening to derail the talks. Michael found himself mediating between Lucas and alien diplomats, trying to maintain a delicate balance. In one heated session, a breakthrough seemed possible when Ambassador Thalrix took the floor. He spoke eloquently about the potential for mutual growth and the dangers of unchecked exploitation. Thalrix proposed an initiative for a multi-species research facility where technologies could be studied and developed collaboratively under the strictest ethical standards. His proposal aligned closely with Michael's vision, giving it a significant boost. Elara, who attended the session as part of the Scientific Advisory Board, provided a compelling argument for the biological implications of shared technologies. She discussed how Serene biotechnologies could help in treating diseases that were currently incurable in human populations, emphasizing the need for careful, controlled experimentation. The days were long, filled with negotiations and strategy sessions, but Michael and Elara found solace in their shared mission. They reviewed every detail of the proposed agreements, refining them to ensure they protected both human and alien interests. Their partnership deepened, both professionally and personally, as they navigated the complex landscape of interstellar diplomacy. As the summit neared its conclusion, tensions reached a peak. During a crucial voting session, Admiral Lucas attempted to push through a resolution that would grant humans unilateral access to certain Serene technologies under the guise of security. Michael, realizing the danger of such a move, orchestrated a counterproposal that instead emphasized shared access under international oversight, which would include Serene and other alien representatives. The vote was tight, with delegates split down the middle. The session extended late into the night, with representatives huddled in groups, discussing and debating in hushed tones. Michael, exhausted but determined, worked the room, speaking with delegates, reassuring some, and appealing to the better angels of others. Finally, as the station's artificial day cycle began to lighten the windows of the Great Hall, the votes were cast. The resolution for shared access passed by a narrow margin, thanks in large part to Michael's tireless efforts and the unexpected support from smaller alien factions who saw it as a safeguard against domination by more powerful species. After the session, as the delegates dispersed, Thalrix approached Michael. "Your vision has paved the way for a new chapter in interstellar relations," he said, his luminescent patterns glowing softly in what Michael had come to recognize as a sign of respect. "The Serene are grateful for your wisdom and courage." Michael felt a surge of relief and pride, tempered by the knowledge that the real work was just beginning. The agreements would need to be implemented, and there would be resistance from various quarters, including within his own species. But for the first time, there was a real sense of hope that a new era of cooperation could begin. As the summit ended and the delegates prepared to leave, Michael and Alara took a moment to look out at the stars from the observation deck of the space station. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they also knew they would face them together, guided by the principles they had fought so hard to uphold during the summit. Their shared journey had strengthened not just their resolve but their bond, and they were ready for whatever came next. As the USS Horizon prepared to depart from the space station, the mood among the crew was a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. The summit had concluded with a landmark agreement, and while it was a victory, it also marked the beginning of an extensive implementation phase. Michael and Alara were at the heart of planning this next stage, developing protocols and educational programs to ensure the smooth integration of new technologies and collaborative projects. Admiral Lucas, though outwardly compliant with the summit's outcomes, harbored reservations. He summoned Michael to his office for a debrief, his demeanor more subdued than usual. "You've shifted the paradigm, Harris," he said grudgingly. "Let's hope your idealism doesn't lead us into a quagmire." Michael acknowledged the Admiral's concerns with a nod, understanding that his support would be crucial for the delicate tasks ahead. The journey back to Earth was filled with strategic meetings and virtual conferences with Earth Command, outlining the steps needed to implement the summit's agreements. Michael and Alara worked tirelessly, often late into the ship's night cycle, drafting detailed plans for the multi-species research facility and setting up task forces to handle the ethical implications of technology sharing. As they neared Earth, a message from Ambassador Thalrix arrived, congratulating them on their safe journey and reiterating the Serene's commitment to the new partnership. Thalrix's message also included a subtle reminder of the care required in handling the technologies, hinting at layers of complexity that would require ongoing diplomatic finesse and scientific caution. Upon landing, Michael and Alara were greeted by a cadre of diplomats and scientists, eager to learn about the summit's outcomes and the expected impacts on human and interstellar relations. News of their achievements had spread, and there was a palpable buzz about the possibilities ahead. They were ushered into briefings, where they presented their findings and fielded questions from officials anxious to understand the new dynamics. Meanwhile, the reality of their situation began to set in. Political factions on Earth and other human colonies expressed divergent views on the summit's resolutions. Some viewed the agreements as a compromise of human supremacy in space, while others saw them as a necessary step towards a more integrated and peaceful galactic community. Michael found himself at the center of these debates, advocating for a balanced approach to interstellar diplomacy and technology sharing. In the following weeks, Michael and Alara's relationship grew stronger, bonded by their shared experiences and mutual respect. They became a formidable team, not just professionally but personally, finding comfort and support in each other's company amidst the whirlwind of their responsibilities. One evening, as they reviewed the construction plans for the new research facility, Michael looked over at Alara, her face illuminated by the soft light of her data pad. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" he mused aloud, a slight smile crossing his face. Alara looked up, returning his smile. "Yes, we are. And it's just the beginning. There's so much more to learn, so much more to do." Their journey had taken them from the confines of a forbidden chamber to the halls of interstellar diplomacy. They had navigated the treacherous waters of political intrigue and emerged with a new hope for the future. As they continued their work, they remained mindful of the delicate balance of power they had to maintain, the ethical considerations they had vowed to uphold, and the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. As the horizon set its course for the next diplomatic mission, with Earth fading into the backdrop of a star-studded sky, Michael and Alara looked forward to the challenges and adventures that awaited them, ready to shape the future of humanity and the galaxy at large.